Gardaland is situated right next to Lake Garda in northeastern Italy in the province of Verona. And guys, this is a cool place. We only got to visit 2 parks in Italy, but this was my favorite of the 2. And they have a lot of cool rides. It's a pretty park and it's very grand. I didn't know the park layout going in, and man, it was so easy to get lost. We had to consult a map, and I'm never one to pull out a park map to try and figure out where we're going. But man, a lot of these paths are very confusing, but that's okay. It's a very neat place. So this is giving my full in-depth review of Gardaland. Now, I first want to talk about your entry experience. What's kind of neat is that this park is situated in kind of this little section where you have an aquarium. There's another amusement park right nearby. So it's not just Gardaland per se, but you actually walk under this tunnel. They've got lots of rainbow lights. That's where you'll go through your security check. And this whole while they're playing this Gardaland theme song that they have. It's like Gardaland, Gardaland. It's like pretty cool that Gardaland actually has their own theme song. Really helped add to our experience. And then you approach your entry plaza, which I mentioned this whole park is grand, and the entry plaza itself is very big. You got fountains in the middle. And so just in general, I really liked the entry gate experience. And right when you walk in, one of the first things you see is Peppa Pig Land, which itself I thought was really funny. Very cute land for kids. But one of the things that Gardaland does really well is theming. Everything is like very immersive. There's multiple themed areas to break up the park. So you have what is my guess to be like a medieval, ancient, fantasy-like section. Of course, like every other park in Europe, there's an old Wild West. There's a Nordic kind of piratey area. That's where that Pirate's Dark Ride is. A Fantasy Kingdom section, a Kung Fu Panda section, and then like a space area where you have Oblivion. Oblivion, the black hole, probably has one of my favorite queue lines of all time. It is so cool. I'll kind of go more in depth with it when I do the Oblivion review, but a lot of the rides are just really well themed. And the same goes for their dark rides. So there's a Pirates of the Caribbean-like dark ride with this giant pirate ship. There's an Egyptian shooting dark ride in this massive building with like Ramses and statues. And of course, Raptor has very cool theming. And the other thing is that they were running multiple trains on all of their roller coasters, so capacity was good. They were definitely ready to handle all the crowds. But another thing I kind of wanted to mention with the roller coasters is they call restraints protections, and they don't actually check your restraints on Mehmet, which is the mine train. So that was kind of funny. We just dispatched and we were like, oh, okay. But I just thought it was amusing that they're just like, pull down your protections. And we're like, oh, okay. And one last thing I want to mention about restraints before moving on is Shaman is their Vekoma looper, and those have great restraints. Probably some of the best restraints I've seen of a ride of that type. Unfortunately, we also did do the Vekoma SLC Blue Tornado, which might actually be the worst Vekoma SLC I've ever done. It has an extra helix. It's just so rough. And something interesting about that, all of the ride ops for that ride have vests on that say shooter. Now, a shooter is someone that goes and launches airplanes off of aircraft carriers, but if you had someone wear a vest that said shooter in America, they would be thought to be a literal shooter, as in shooting people. So that was a cultural difference that we saw, because you would never see anyone wearing a vest like that in America. But in Italy, it was totally okay. It was part of the theme. So that was something I thought was interesting. Now you think that would never fly in America. Here's something that you would never ever see at a theme park in America, and that is that Gardaland in one gift shop sold swords. Real life swords. We thought about getting it, but then we figured the airport security would not be the biggest fan of us trying to transport it in our carry-on luggage on our multiple flights throughout Europe and back to America. Now, unfortunately, we did not get to ride all of the roller coasters. Sequoia Adventure was closed, which really is a shame because that ride is so unique, but unfortunately we did not get to experience that. We did get to experience everything else though, including the Kung Fu Panda coaster, which we waited way too long for, and the Wacky Worm, which has 5 lift hills, by the way, so that's crazy. But one of my favorite things about Gardaland was in that section of the park, and this might sound completely ridiculous, but while we were over there, we got these popsicles, and they were like the best popsicles I have ever had in my life. You can get them at a cart right under Shaman's corkscrews. I cannot recommend enough. Just try one of these popsicles. Like, it's so good. While we're on the topic of food, they also have really good ice cream, and they offer like burgers and pizza and stuff, but they also have some places that offer like different types of pasta and some fancier options. We got some pizza while we were over there, true Italian pizza. It was pretty good. One other thing I thought was really cool about Gardaland is that they have an Intamin floating island. It is one of the few in the world. Really cool observation deck. If you haven't done one of these, I definitely recommend it. It gives a gorgeous view. Another thing I love is that you can just walk your dog in Gardaland. They allow pets, so we saw people just walking their dogs. They can't do any of the rides, but it was still like super cool. So I love that they did that. And just in general, I really enjoyed Gardaland. Again, the theming is very good as you're just walking around the park. They have some solid rides. You know, none of them are like the best. Their big two coasters are Raptor and Oblivion, neither of which are like, you know, outstanding. So none of the rides like blew me away here, but as a park as a whole, I really enjoyed it. It's a really neat place and I definitely recommend it. So that's just my review of Gardaland in northeastern Italy. Be sure to let me know down in the comment section below if you've been here, what your thoughts are on it. And of course, stay tuned for more park reviews here at Coaster Studios, and I'll catch you guys later.